Okay, so hello, my name is Karen Yancey. I am from the online learning services at the College of St. Rose, and I am going to present the SAMR model of technology tool assessment and how you can use those tools. So the SAMR model represents or is an assessment, a tool assessment tool, rather than a specific design model. The SAMR model represents the words substitution, augmentation, modification, and redefinition. And you'll see here I have a diagram, and it starts at the bottom with substitution. When you are dealing with technology in the classroom, you don't want to just use technology simply because it is technology. You want to use it because it provides you some capability. Now, with the substitution level in the SAMR model, what you're doing is you're taking a technology tool and you're replacing it with, you are replacing something you're already doing. A good example is the whiteboard, the electronic whiteboard, the electronic smart board that you find in many classrooms. That is simply substituting the chalkboard or the white dry erase board that has been used in classrooms for a long time. With the next level up, the augmentation idea is you are taking a technology tool and you're replacing an older tool, and that technology tool augments your ability to do something different that you haven't been able to do with the older tool. And I'll give an example. Augmentation would be when a teacher posts a recording of her lecture on YouTube so her students can replay parts of it that they don't understand. Because in a live lecture, students can't rewind and hear what the teacher said 5 minutes ago. So it augments the capabilities of the student and the teacher. Now with the modification level, which is the next level up, it's essentially, I'll give you an example. It is, it's evident when students work in a creative app, for example, Canva, to make a project presentation with clickable links and videos and post the product to a Google Classroom where other students can post critiques of each other's work. That is very good because if in a typical poster presentation, you don't have the capability of having somebody click on your poster to go into a resource like a web page, or click on the poster to see a video that supports what the presentation on the poster was. So the modification allows for significant task redesign. And the redefinition, which is the highest level, is redefining the tool, the capabilities. The tech allows for the creation of new tasks that were previously inconceivable. A definition would be, or an example would be, it's present when the classes from different places in the world can use Skype or Google Classroom or SurveyMonkey to communicate and collaborate on a social issue project that requires them to gather and analyze data and then create a summary and a call to action. This is redefining the activity and the learning experience, because you typically can't have a class go over to Italy and collaborate with another group of people and then create a call to action from their project telling the world, we need to do this, let's do that, you know. So these different levels are very good to keep in mind when you're looking at a tool, assessing whether you're going to use it or not. You want to think about, can this tool enhance my class in ways that it's never been able to be enhanced before. So I'm going to give examples with different tools that we use here at St. Rose. We're going to talk about relay conversations. We're going to talk about Canvas discussion boards, which is in Canvas. And we're going to talk about the Canvas Speedgrader tool. So we're going to start with the Speedgrader. which would be, okay. So in the Speedgrader, you have feedback capabilities, and mainly what I want to talk about is how a tool can provide or give you the opportunity to provide feedback to your students. Because feedback is one of the most transformative experiences a student can have in the learning process. They have applied what they've learned, they've presented what they created, and then they're receiving a critique or a grade or an assessment of what they have done. And as the saying goes, if you can teach something, you have learned it best, not just you know, repeat something that you've learned. If you can actually teach someone a concept who's never heard this concept before, that means you've mastered that particular concept. So in the Speedgrader, you have a variety of tools. Not instead of just giving a grade or writing a paper with a number and putting X's by the questions that are wrong, you can give video feedback, you can give text feedback, you can give audio feedback, you can annotate an image or a document using the annotation tools. So to some extent, Speedgrader is augmenting the traditional grading process because of the fact that you can give video and audio feedback. Typically, people who are assessing or who are assessing papers will write on that paper and annotate it. But mostly students are not going to have a personalized video recorded for them saying, this is a great idea, but I want you to add 3 more supporting ideas to it. So in the Canvas Speedgrader, let's see, you can attach a file down here. There's a button down here where you can attach a supporting file in your feedback. You can create a media comment, like this is an audio comment. Because I'm using Skype, the video is not showing, but typically you would have a box here that allows you to record a video as well. You can upload some media, maybe supporting media, and you can also do a speech-to-text recording. So if you don't want to type it out, you can actually press the record button here and it will record your voice. So I can say, this is an example of the speech-to-text feature in Canvas Speedgrader. And then you press stop and it presents this right here. You'll see all of what I said, and then you would press enter, or you click outside of the box, and you can start recording by saying hello. You can play the media comment, of course. Audio feedback. And you press submit, and there it is, the speech to text feature. You can, of course, type in your comment. Okay, and then press submit. Now this is a quiz, so you can't annotate in a quiz. But if this were a document, say a Word document or a picture, there's an annotation bar up at the top that allows you to write on the screen, almost like a chalkboard. Let's see. So I'm going to close this out. I'm going to go to Speedgrader again, and this is a discussion. In Canvas discussions, it's a tool in which students respond to a stimulus, and it's sort of like a post board. So I would provide a stimulus saying, give me 3 examples of the different types of trees. And the student would then post their comment and to the stimulus, and it would be posted on the post board. Then if I said respond to 3 of your students, your classmates, with a post, their other posts that are their responses will also show up. So these are all of Patty's posts. These aren't just her primary response to this primary stimulus. This is also a list of all of her responses to her classmates. So if you are grading a discussion and you say they can receive up to 5 points, they have to post an initial response, which is worth 2 points, and they have to post 3 responses to their classmates, each response being 1 point. Then Patty would have gotten 1, 2, 3, 4 points because she did post all 3. So she would have gotten all 5 points because this is her initial post, and then these 3 are her response posts. So it's very good in Speedgrader because it collects all of the posts for one student, and it's an easy grading method. And once again, you can add comments. I can say great posts. Posts. And the audio tool and the attachment tools, all of that is still there. And you can also, she attached a file. So I can click on the file and it will download to my computer right here in Speedgrader. So I can open up and it'll open in my computer. I have a second screen, so it'll open in the computer. So Speedgrader has a lot of good capabilities. Now here's an example of an image that could be an upload. If you're an art teacher, for example, and you want someone to upload an image, which is an example of a certain art style. And here you can see the annotation tools. So the annotation tools include, it includes a paintbrush. So I can, use red to highlight something. There you go. And I can use green. I can increase the width of the mark. Let's see. I can make a point, an annotation point, and write something. So do that. Good work. And then enter. And there you have an annotation point. You can also write on it and say, nice photo. So all of these annotation tools, in a way, are substituting what you would do on a piece of paper, but the fact that there are so many different colors, you can highlight. To some extent, Canvas Speedgrader is a substitution, but some of it is an augmentation because of the video comments you can record. Now, okay, that's the picture. Let's talk about Canvas discussions as a tool. In a discussion, you can get a lot of interaction happening. This, in a way, is replacing or substituting the conversation in the classroom that you would have if you have a debate on a topic. But once again, Canvas allows you to record videos. And here's a video that I recorded. You can see it'll play. So, and you can add pictures. This is just a picture. Whoops. Trying to go back there. To go back. Okay. There. And let's see. You have everything that the rich text content editor in Canvas has. So you can include images, you can record audio statements instead of video statements if you wanted to. You have, of course, text, all to put in your stimulus. Now, the same thing in the response bar, or when a student is making a response, they have the same editor. So they can also record a video response. They can upload a photo. They can upload files. They can respond in text. This also is a substitution / augmentation tool. You can add links. This doesn't have an example of links in this particular conversation, but you can add links. Let's see if I can get in edit. Okay, if you go to the edit, you'll see this is the text editor. And this text editor will allow you to add a URL. a link. So I can go here and write strohs.edu and insert the link. Whoops. There. And this link will take you to Strohs, take you to the Strohs website. And then you press done. So you can now include links to an outside source in your conversations. In the classroom, if you were to reference a movie or something, you wouldn't be able to have them click on something in the air and then watch the movie for a few minutes. So that is more as an augmentation. So part of the tool that is augments what you would normally do in the classroom. So let's see, Speedgrader. Now, Canvas Relay is a great program because it has a lot of capabilities. It's got storage capabilities. You can store almost unlimited data in Relay. Canvas has limited storage. And so if you upload a video, which is very easy to do in Relay, and connect it to your Canvas classroom as an assignment, which is also very easy to do, your students have the capabilities of viewing a video or a lecture without too much interruption. The streaming is very good because they're going, essentially, this is a window to the Relay site. And Relay has recently added a tool called Conversations. And that is essentially a discussion board along the timeline of a video. So as you're watching a video, you can post a comment along the video at that timeline. And you'll see each one of these arrows is a comment that has been made in reference to the video. So you can have a lively class discussion using this discussion board slash video annotation because of the dimensionality of this tool. And it's kind of similar to the Facebook feature in which you can like at a certain point within the video, but you have the ability to put in text. You have the ability to put quite a lot of text in there, actually. Let's see. You can, you see that this is an annotation. So students, if they want to annotate a point in the video, can do that. Let's see, right here. If I wanted to add a comment to this point in the timeline, I would say, that is a good idea. And then you press submit, and it adds the timeline. Also, and then I can annotate. And I'll say, let's see, here. And then annotate with green. And I can put a point, annotates on the video, on the timeline of the video. I can put arrows. I can clear it if I needed to. And it'll say, this will delete all of your annotations from the canvas. That means the canvas that I just wrote on. So I'll put clear, and it clears out what I have put in that particular section of the video. Let's see, I'm trying to think. Okay, one limiting factor is that Conversations will not allow you to record a video or an audio comment. It's simply text. But other than that, Conversations is a very powerful tool. So I'll press submit. And I have an assignment in which students have responded. Now, if I go into Speedgrader, one thing is that Speedgrader will not show you all of the annotations from Relay because they are separate programs. They do talk to each other, but Relay doesn't show up in Canvas Speedgrader. So remember that. It's not too much of a limiting factor. It just means that you have to go into the conversation and check off that Elaine's made 2 comments, Thomas made 1, Karen made several, and you'll just have to do that independently. What I would say is that conversations in Relay is more than an augmentation tool. Probably modification is the level I'd say this is, because it allows you to do some things that you would not be able to do in 2 dimensions at least. There's the time dimension, and there's the text annotation dimension. The ability to respond and annotate. So this tool is very useful if you want a good class discussion. You want the students to feel presence. You want the students to feel instructor presence. You want the students to feel classmate presence. They're getting feedback in some very good ways. This can be done if a student has a presentation. For example, if they have created a PowerPoint presentation and you have shown them the simple steps of converting a PowerPoint to a video, and they've uploaded it to their Relay account, because every student and teacher has a Relay account at St. Rose. And if the student is giving you a presentation, is turning in a presentation, you can view the presentation and then annotate along the timeline. And the student will get very good feedback, and it's personalized feedback. You can not only, as the teacher, do this, but you can have other fellow students annotate and make feedback comments along the conversation's timeline in Relay. There is a feature that allows the student to open up their presentation to all of their classmates, so that the classmates can see their presentation, and so every student can have this kind of very personalized feedback or group feedback. Let's see, I think that was it for the SAMR model and how you would assess this. The redefinition level is very transformative, and it requires typically more than one tool if you want to reach the transformation or redefinition level. Because in my example, I give several tools that the students had to use to be able to redefine their learning experience. Having Skype, which is video conferencing, having a Google Classroom, which is essentially an open post board, and SurveyMonkey, which gets feedback feedback due to questions they've put out. Then communicating that, their results, and creating a call to action, such as posting it on Twitter and saying, hashtag red pandas, save the red panda, those kinds of call to actions. So if you are trying for a redefinition, keep in mind that you'll need to use a variety of tools to achieve that. But you can definitely get modification level in one tool. So do you have any questions before I stop recording the video?
I have questions, but you can record or not. But let David go first, because I want to hear what David has to say.
Okay, yes, David.
Oh, is that me?
Yeah.
How did you know I was going to ask a question? I didn't even push anything. Well, anyway, I had a question about VoiceThread vis-a-vis what you talked about with the Canvas tool. It seems like the one thing, at least from my perception here, that VoiceThread has over the Canvas tool is that you can do audio. The students can do audio and video comments.
That is true.
However, there is, from my experience, a pretty, not steep, but there's somewhat of a learning curve, and it's a requirement of students to not be passive, that they have to go in and learn VoiceThread as well as Canvas, right? So yeah. I wonder if you have any sort of sense of like whether, I don't know, is that a process of going into a kind of a redefinition, process where I'm sorry, it was a question when it was in my head.
It's
But
okay.
would you,
It is a
would
good
you
question.
recommend something like VoiceThread as kind of being somewhat of a step above the Canvas thing because of that or not?
That's a great question. I would say that Conversations does everything except, it's a very good tool if you don't want to use VoiceThread because you feel there's a learning curve. Because it gives you a lot of the same things. So I would recommend using Relay Conversations. Another thing is that I've created many screencasts that are very short and to the point about how to do a simple thing such as how do you record in Canvas discussions, for example, using the video or audio tool. Those very short screencasts are very easy to create. You can do it in Relay. I've made many. And so, for example, you could create one yourself, or you can direct the students to a short video that has already been created by somebody else, explaining how to do those steps. So the learning curve should not be a barrier, too much of a barrier. If you simply put in a few preliminary steps of having them watch the video and then try it out. And you can even do a trial discussion, for example. The first 2 discussions in your class, one could be introduce yourself, use the video tool to speak into the camera. The second could be an ungraded practice discussion in which they use the video or audio tools and express their knowledge about 1 or 2 topics. And then they'll have that learning experience. So by the time you get to the 3rd conversation or the discussion assignment, they've got some experience and they can present well. So that's a good question. Thank you.
Thank you.
And I was going to ask basically what David, I mean, that was one of my questions, is the Relay versus VoiceThread. And I feel like I'm just going to have to play with both of them and see, because I'd always used Relay for my lectures, right? That was my kind of lecture one. And then I use VoiceThread because I'm in education. I use VoiceThread to embed videos of kids, right? Because I want them to do their observation. So I had been using both. But I know like some of my students don't listen to my lectures. So I might put in my lecture the conversation piece and still keep VoiceThread for that. I don't know. I have to play with both of them.
That's a good point, and that's a good question too. Relay recently added the Conversations tool just, I think, 6 to 7 months ago. So your use of VoiceThread was great. And you can start using Relay Conversations to achieve the same thing. And with Relay Conversations, in your lecture video, you can add those questions to ensure that the students have actually watched the video. So when you are integrating the Relay lecture into your Canvas assignment, your course, you can add conversations to it, and the students have to watch the video and answer the questions to get credit if you want to make an assignment. And then they can also add a comment along the timeline using the Conversations tool. So you have 2 things that the students are capable of doing: answering the questions to ensure that they've watched the video, and they can make a comment as they're watching the video, such as a question. Why did they say that? Or what is this idea about? I don't quite understand. Can you clarify? And then you can go in and say, and respond to their comment on the timeline in the conversation and say, this is what this means. And the reason why they said that was because of this concept. So I would highly recommend using the Relay Conversations tool to achieve both of those tasks that you mentioned that 2 different tools were doing before. So I'm going to go ahead and stop the recording. those were very good questions, and we can continue to talk after this. So thank you for watching.